Hello, welcome to another episode of Roof Talk, where we go above and beyond the surface of the construction industry. This is your host Aniket Patil, and today we are going to dive into a conversation which is going to shine light quite literally on how power of solar is going to shape the future of our buildings. Today's guest is very special, and he's the founder of Goa's leading solar companies called Sun360. Anish, welcome on the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Same here, Aniket. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, before we dive into the podcast, right, I'd like to ask you, what is that one myth about, solar? That is, a myth, a misconception about solar that you often come across that you'd like to kind of burst today.
So there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think one big one is that solar doesn't work in the monsoons.
Well, that's what I thought as well for the longest of time.
Yeah, and since we're just coming out of monsoons while we're filming this right now, I mean it's poignant to kind of speak about it.
Okay.
So one big thing that people speak about is you've got rains for 3 months in a year, and solar absolutely doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I mean, where it comes from. The older technology, that is water heating.
Well,
right.
that was the next thing I was going to ask you on. Why is the water always cold?
So that works on heat.
Yeah.
Right. So you need infrared or IR heat in the atmosphere.
Understood.
And so it heats up based on that.
Understood.
Now, a lot of people have installed solar in the past.
Yeah.
And they have found that obviously the water that they receive is lukewarm. But solar photovoltaic, that is your PV cells, which generate electricity, work on a completely different spectrum.
Understood.
Called visible light. The light that you can see.
Okay.
And that visible light is essentially available in plenty even during the monsoons.
True.
So yes, there is a drop by about 50% from the peak. But if the systems are well designed, they can give you or they can create a net zero building over the year.
So essentially what you're saying is that the technology is there wherein the building will not have to be dependent on any external power sources.
So yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because we've done we've had the privilege of doing eco resorts, where there's absolutely no power as well, and solar can be the only source of energy. So with solar, we've got this availability issue.
Okay.
Right? That is, the sunlight is available only between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Whereas the energy that is required in a building is needed throughout the day.
24 hours,
24 hours. And so what essentially have it completely hooked off from the grid is an energy storage system, batteries essentially.
Right.
So that's one way how you can get it completely off the grid. But what 95% of the systems are doing today is integrated with the grid. So you generate excess power during the day, feed it back to the grid, and then use that excess power during the night.
Understood.
So you bank essentially with the grid.
Correct. So essentially, yes, you can build economically, as in terms of monetary, you can build a system wherein you get electricity free of cost.
Absolutely.
Okay, lovely. Now, I've read up a little bit about you. You're a mechanical engineer who's worked at Accenture. You've also gotten a bit of work done in Helsinki. What pivoted your way to launch, Sun360, and how is it different than corporate consultancy and a tech solar power tech company?
Yeah. So I mean, if I roll back, a few years, as a child, I had, I suffered severe asthma.
All right.
And, there were times where I would, it would be very difficult for me to breathe.
Yeah.
Right. And somehow over the years, I grew out of it. And then I went to Bombay. I was working in Accenture for 4 years.
Wow, that's long.
But every 2 months, I would just feel so suffocated there. And I would always just come home, escape to Goa for a week or a weekend, grab a little bit of fresh air and then head back. And I was always, kind of under this impression, and constantly we are being told this, that development comes with sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right, and that Goa is an emerging economy. It's a developing economy. If you want to have a higher, per capita income or a higher, development index,
Yeah, it's going to demand more energy.
and that is going to essentially require
It's going to essentially require, non-clean energy sources, and it's going to pollute, as you've seen in most of the big cities, and it's not going to be that fun to be back in Goa then.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that was always there in the back of my mind, and I said, this doesn't seem to be right.
Yeah, that's such a great thought, though. That's such a good way to start a company. The purpose is way larger.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was only when I went to Helsinki
Yeah.
that's when I kind of saw that, both could exist.
Yeah.
Right.
The-
Clean air.
The fresh air, you just take that fresh early morning breath. It's so good.
Absolutely. And, they're well developed.
Yeah.
You've got amazing infrastructure, but not a speck of dust in the air.
No.
Clean air. People are enjoying, the natural environment.
100%.
And you still have all the lifestyle that you look for. And, it started getting me thinking a little bit more. There's something known as the Green Party in Finland.
Is there?
Yeah. And that party, essentially, its main manifesto.
So it's a political party.
It's a political
wow.
party that's centered around, sustainability.
Yeah. Wow.
Which I felt was fantastic. I mean, here you have a small country, which is well developed, and where the people are,
So conscious.
conscious, and they're voting for a particular party on the basis of its sustainable.
But it makes sense, though. Look, it's a better lifestyle. It's cleaner air. It's overall good health. Have you ever gone to Delhi?
I have, and
Yeah.
it's not fun.
Try to breathe the air there. You get sick within the first 4 days. You'd have to develop some sort of a mutation to be able to survive in Delhi. It's that bad. But look, I mean, the thought behind you starting the company is absolutely amazing. That is what I think the country needs right now. What was the first couple of days of Sun360 like?
So I quit my job when I was 26, and the thought was very clear. I knew that 90% of startups fail in the first 18 months, or that's the stat or something like that.
You're right.
And I knew that if I failed early, I could still find my way back. So it wasn't much of a risk per se. But the disadvantage of starting early was that you had a lot of people that did not necessarily take you very seriously.
Yeah, you'd have to educate a lot of people.
Yeah. And so, I have, this very short story of one of my first clients, and we were installing, it's a large resort in Goa, and we were installing, a solar heating system there.
Okay.
And this customer, against the wishes of his consultant, gave us the work order. Right? And it was a fairly large amount of money that he was handing over at that particular point in time, taking a bet on a new guy who had not installed anything before. And when, I got the work order and I delivered the material,
Right.
soon after I delivered the material and started installing it, he told me a story. He said, you know what, the consultant, soon after I gave you the advance check, he told me that he had called you up and that he could hear casino bells ringing in the background. And he said that, he implied that that Anish has probably used the money in the casino.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Right. And
From where to where?
yeah. And so, this story essentially was one where, he finally ended up being a customer.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of other people also who looked at Sun360 as a very young company, and so the initial traction, was difficult.
Yeah.
But it was very enriching because we got to test out the product. We got to fine tune the service that we were offering to the customer. And from there, we've kind of come to a point where today we have 35 experienced solar professionals working with us, 500 plus customers and things like that.
So would you say that it was very challenging in the start to convince your consumers on why solar is important? Did you have to educate them a lot? I knew like 11 years ago is not like light years apart. It's only it's just a decade. So people already knew about solar. But in Goa, would you still have to convince them a lot on what solar is, how electricity could, your bills could be reduced? And so, from a consumer's point of view, what is the motto? Is it just reducing cost, or is there something else also?
So, to answer the first question, absolutely. 11 or 12 years, right? 2013 to 2025, in solar terms is like light years, especially with respect to photovoltaic.
Okay.
So, there was no solar policy in Goa. So all solar being installed in Goa was purely thermal, completely water heating.
Just water heating, yeah. All right.
So there was no photovoltaic. There's no electricity that was being produced.
So there's no electricity solar?
No.
When did this, sorry to interrupt you, when did this technology of photovoltaic system come into place, as in the electricity generating panels?
So the panels have been there since the 1950s and the 1960s as well, but not commercially viable. And even back in 2013, it was not commercially viable. The only way you could set up a solar electricity system was if you hooked them up or connected them to batteries.
Yeah.
Right. And you had to store that power in the batteries. It just was a very expensive and very cumbersome kind of a process.
I think Japan was quite ahead in terms of this. The reason I say it because my aunt used to be in Japan and she had gotten me this phone charger, right? So it just had like a USB and it had a solar panel. It was just like a small little thing, right? I plug my phone into it, or like I didn't have a phone at the time. I had like an iPod or something. I plug it in. I leave the charger unit in the sun and then it starts charging. This was back when I was a child, and that's the kind of technology they had. I think that's the photovoltaic thing that you're talking about. I think it came way later in Goa.
Yeah, absolutely. Way later in Goa, but it was there in other states. So when we started off, we essentially started off providing services in Tamil Nadu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there was no solar policy here. And the only way
Why do you think that plays an important role though?
Oh, it's massive. So
really?
Electricity is it's a regulated subject, right? Across the country. First with the center setting central policies, and then with the state implementing them differently in each state.
Okay.
So in 2008 there was this thing known as the National Solar Mission, which kind of laid the outline for how solar is going to be deployed in the country. It basically comprised of two technologies: concentrated solar, which was like parabolic reflectors and light concentrated to one point, and photovoltaic.
Okay.
And the government said, I think both of them will work, and let's put funds behind both of them. Photovoltaic just took off because it was far easier to install.
A lot more accessible, I guess.
Very accessible.
Yeah.
And you could install it in humid areas, dry areas. It would work like a charm. Whereas with the reflector systems, you needed it to be in dry areas like Rajasthan, where there's not much refraction of light.
Understood.
So solar essentially took off in India when the National Solar Mission came out. Different states picked it up at its own pace. Tamil Nadu was one of the first ones to move in. And solar takes off at scale only when you have it connected back to the grid.
Back to the government grid.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that you can bank and you can use the grid like a battery.
Why do you think you need to use the grid like a battery? Can you just not put a battery?
So batteries are expensive.
Oh, so you're saving money on that.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And you have a high recurring cost because you've got to replace them every 5 years or 10 years.
Understood. So when you do put it on a grid, essentially there's a meter of what electricity is going out to the government, and then probably what's coming in also, and then they balance it off.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And the third is batteries aren't very sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. So
That
it
is
really
true.
kind of defeats
It defeats the
entire
purpose. Yeah, it's
And
lithium
back
batteries.
then, in 2008, the batteries were lead acid, which is even worse than
Lithium.
the lithium batteries.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So, what has been Sun360's growth story like? So, obviously, first couple of years were challenging. You were not even getting work in Goa. When did the policy come into effect, and when did you start doing large-scale projects? Like I've seen some of your work. Like you worked for Pfizer, you worked for Vico. I think you worked for Siemens also. So, at around what time did this start coming in?
So 2013 to about 2015-16 is when we were doing jobs primarily out of Goa. And we were doing water heating systems here in Goa, right? Once we got a sense of what Tamil Nadu was doing well, we brought a few of those inputs, and we through industry associations, we tried to channelize that to the government. Luckily, the government, both at the center as well as the state, were quite aligned with solar being required, and it's a no-brainer for a country like India. You are resource rich. You've got a lot of solar, right? What is the alternative? Coal and oil, which primarily we need to import. Yeah, and you import that, you spend a lot of dollars on it. Of course, you do. Right. So forex is what you can save. And at the same time, you have this really huge need for energy, because you have a really large middle class that's kind of coming up, that's aspirational, that wants phones and mobiles and
everything, air
electric
conditioning
vehicles,
and everything,
air conditioning, everything, right? And so you absolutely need solar, right? And that's where that's where the government of Goa also kind of came in.
What year was this around?
This was around 2017.
Oh, that's way later than, like around 4 years later than when you started off.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So it gave us one advantage, because we had already deployed systems outside.
You already had the footing work done, just ready to go in 2017 once the policies were done, I guess.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
And so when they put the policy in place, they also took a lot of time to implement. I remember one of the first systems that we installed at Pilaran, an industry there. After we had installed the plant, there were 15 people from the electricity department that came there to see, how it is installed and how it works.
How
and things
the
like
technology works, huh?
Yeah. And just to kind of close that thought, 2017 is when the policy came out, but 2018 is when it really got implemented.
Okay.
And the initial ones were just early adopters, right? People who were just saying that, hey, I've seen solar in my aunt's place in Australia. Right? I was sailing, on a cruise, and I saw it when I got off in Germany.
Yeah.
And so they said, let me put it in my place. So it was really very small. 2020, August 2020 is when the government paid out its first subsidies, right? And I still remember that day in the CM's residence. The minister, power minister then was Mr. Nilesh Cabral, and the current CM. They really wanted to push this whole idea forward, and that's when it really took off. Once people knew that they were getting actually paid a capital incentive to set up solar. It's just purely around payback, right? It's completely around economics. And so a home solar unit today recovers its cost in about 5 years.
Okay.
An industrial solar unit today recovers its cost in about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the life of the solar panels today is 30 years.
Okay.
So you're essentially able to run a plant free of cost for 25 years. Or 27 years, depending on how you look at it, right?
Yeah,
so that
will make sense. Yeah.
So that's when it really kind of, that hockey stick, and it took off.
So, look, the way I look at it is, right, so what were, so one is the policy that the government changed, and then the second was the capital incentive. What entails the policy? Is it the ability to give back the energy to the government and take it when required? Or like what was in the policy that made it so lucrative?
So a starting point was...
Because capital incentive didn't come in until 2020, as you said. So from 2017 to 2020, what was the policy doing?
So the policy initially from 2017 to 2019, right, was the first step, which is you can bank with the grid. Right? You can generate power during the day. If you have excess, give it back to us and take it back at night. Right? They also experimented with another policy where they said, you feed all your power back to us and we'll pay you 8.5 rupees.
Yeah, but that didn't work
that
out.
That never worked out. It never took off.
Yeah.
Because the electricity department said, hey, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah.
Right. And so that never really took off. So the policy that really took off was the net metering, which is essentially you can give us the surplus power back and
we'll
offset it at night.
At night, yeah.
When the policy in 2019 came out with the subsidy linkage to it, that's when it moved from just being something for an enthusiast to being something that was economically viable.
Well, investor basically. Yeah. What's the cost incentive like on the on the solar panels for residential and commercial?
So currently, a home setup, a typical home setup, which is a 8 to a 10 kilowatt plant, right? A 10 kilowatt plant gets 78,000 rupees from the center.
10 kilowatt plant, okay.
That's about 80 square meters of roof area. 78,000 from the central government and 2.25 lakhs from the state. So essentially, you're looking at about 3 lakh rupees.
How much does it cost?
The cost is about 6 lakhs.
So 50% is paid by the government.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is the government incentivizing and paying out so much? Is it because they're getting that sum of electricity in return? I don't think they're getting that much electricity in return, are they?
So they are, a 10 kilowatt plant, for example, would generate something around, 13,000 units of electricity every year. So it's a lot of energy. Why the government is doing it is because of a few reasons, which, we spoke of earlier. Point number one is that if we don't generate this electricity through solar, we'll have to generate it through coal or, natural gas. Right.
Yeah.
And so as much power we are generating through renewable energy, we reduce the amount of forex that we pay for fossil fuels. Right. Second is at a global level, we've made commitments to the world that we will cut down emissions, that we will, kind of take up electricity.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. At a national scale.
Yeah, those commitments are playing a huge role across the world. Like everybody wants to be a green country or a green nation. So I think that makes sense.
And the primary reason behind that is because you can see what's happening in other countries. Right? In China, for example, the cost to clean up polluted air is far more than doing it right the first time around. Right? Delhi, you just cited that example.
I don't think people are even wrapping their heads around how to clean that city.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive. And so China today is one of the largest installers of solar.
Yeah.
Primarily because they've realized that they just can't keep burning coal and oil.
Yeah.
Right? And the best way to do it is through solar. The third is that when you set up these decentralized solar plants, that is, individual solar plants on individual roofs, you end up pulling less power from power plants that are centrally located, in some remote part of the country.
Understood.
And so you end up reducing the transmission and distribution losses.
Yeah, logistics cost.
Absolutely.
Because you do lose energy, transmitting energy as well, right?
Exactly. Think of it as, growing food in your own backyard.
Yeah.
The carbon footprint
of
that.
I understand what you're saying. Well, buying an apple from Kashmir kind of thing, yeah.
Absolutely.
The logistic cost is there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just imagine if the apple got eaten halfway through.
Yeah, you just get half an apple.
Yeah.
I'd rather put an apple tree in my backyard. It makes sense. So Anish, what is the state of solar adoption across Goa and the country as a whole? Has the demand for solar changed in the last couple of years? Has the awareness helped with the demand change?
Yeah, so in Goa, over the last 5 years, Goa has installed 77 megawatts of solar.
Okay.
That's equivalent to planting 3.5 million trees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of scale that we've reached.
How does that equation come into play?
So each kilowatt is roughly around 46 trees.
In terms of
of the CO2 reduction.
Reduction.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get you.
So one kilowatt of solar can essentially will reduce 1 ton of CO2 annually.
Originally, which would have come from carbon fuels.
Yeah. And so Goa is at 77 megawatts. India has set a very expansive target of getting to 450 gigawatts by 2030.
That's a lot, isn't it?
And we are on target. As a country, we are on target to kind of get there. The large amount of adoption is coming through states like Gujarat and Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu, right? Because
they're more industrial shades.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
But Goa is leading the way with respect to offering blueprints for different kind of setup, more residential kind of setup.
That is what I thought as well, because Goa is not an industrial state, but we still need energy. We still have to navigate our way around. So I think it will be a beautiful match on how residential roofs can be converted into like energy powerhouses.
Absolutely. And where we're seeing, large adoption is in the residential space here in Goa. Of course, the large industries, the ones that you mentioned, Siemens, Pfizer, Abbott, Vico, all of these guys, it absolutely makes economic sense for them.
Of course.
Plus, there's a corporate level mandate, right? So a lot of these large multinational companies have something known as an RE100, which is 100% of their energy will come through renewable energy, typically by 2027 or latest by 2030.
But it only makes sense for big industries like that. The energy consumption is absolutely humongous, and for us to burn that much fossil fuels to cater and facilitate that energy, it's just not going to be viable in the coming future, since it's going to be expensive and it's destroying nature. So
absolutely. And I mean, you touched upon the expensive part, right? As fossil fuels are scarce and finite, essentially what's happening is that it's getting more and more expensive to mine, to explore oil. And so therefore the cost of that type of electricity, fossil fuel based electricity, is just getting more expensive. So what large industries essentially want to do is they want to cap, the cost of electricity. And they want to hedge that against solar.
Of course.
So a typical solar plant, right now, 100 kilowatt solar plant can generate electricity at the rate of 3 rupees a unit. Flat over the next 25 years. Do you think coal-based power will be available at, let's say, currently 6.5 rupees? Can the government guarantee that they can give you coal-based power at 6.5 rupees for the next 25 years?
They can't guarantee what's going to happen after the 5 years.
Absolutely.
So forget about the 25 years. No, I think it's a safe bet anyway. What do you think are the challenges that you face in residential or commercial industry, where there is some people who are still reluctant? Let's not go on to the bigger companies, smaller companies or smaller residential homes, where your consumer is reluctant in putting solar, maybe because lack of education, maybe he thinks the initial cost of investment is too much, maybe think it's not worth it. You must be coming across like 1,000 customers, you're educating people. What is going wrong?
So the first is awareness. Right, but there have been a lot of efforts being put, in that regards. But people still don't know the difference between, let's say, thermal and photovoltaic, or they don't know that they can feed it back to the department, right? So that's one part of it. The second part is people are really concerned, especially in Goa. They're very concerned about waterproofing. So you just don't want to kind of touch something that's not broken.
Understood.
Right. And solar is something that is, it's not essential. It's not like an air conditioner that you have to have on.
True.
Right. So if you can bear paying the electricity bill, of 6,000, 10,000 rupees a month, you kind of don't want to have any kind of
punctures or
possibilities,
structural damages
of having waterproofing issues. you just kind of stay away from it.
Fair.
Right.
So that's primarily the kind of challenge that you face. That are you going to puncture into the concrete? Are you going to puncture the roof? Am I going to have leakage problems?
Absolutely.
We'll talk more about it with in the next part of the podcast, where we're going to integrate the solar and the roof bit. But
and I think the third one is where the consumption is so small that it doesn't make financial sense.
Financial sense for them to put. But I'm sure you guys will probably be coming up with some solutions for that too, because essentially electricity is never going to get cheap.
Yeah.
I read it on Goa in 24 thing today that there is going to be like a 4% hike on electricity consumption annually.
Over the next 5 years.
Over the next 5 years. So technically everyone will have to kind of move into alternative energy sources, like obviously solar being one of the very important ones.
Absolutely. And the fourth criteria is that solar needs to be installed in unshaded areas. And so if you have coconut trees and mango trees in your vicinity, and if they are casting a shadow, or if you have a large building close to your house and it casts a shadow, solar there is going to be absolutely useless. So you need to find an unshaded roof as well, and so a lot of the roofs essentially also get knocked off as unfeasible, right, because of the shading factor.
So that's something designers or architects could think about when they're designing the bungalow or a villa, that position it in such a way that at least there's a surface which is more exposed to the radiation.
Yeah, I mean it when an investment of that size is made,
it needs to give
returns. Needs to yield a return.
Makes sense.
But the government has given alternative possibilities. So there's something known as virtual net metering today, wherein if I have a shaded roof and you have a roof that's open up to the sky,
I can pay.
Yeah, we can both invest together.
Put a solar on your roof.
Set up the solar on your roof.
And then we share the energy. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I was looking at a video on one of the solar companies in Gujarat where what they're essentially doing is, I don't have the space, but the industry does. So invest in a block of panels on top of a commercial industry, and then I take a share of that energy.
It's very, very cool. What's happening in this space is what's going to be what happened with UPI in fintech.
Yeah.
So Nandan Nilekani is currently working, with the government think tanks on working on UPI for energy right now. And
really?
Yeah. And so essentially you're going to have like these huge, think of them as the energy in the cloud.
Yeah.
Which all of us, whoever has excess, renewable energy can pump to that particular place, and you have peer-to-peer lending of power. That's possible.
Oh. So, coming future, I'm just gonna UPI you some energy, or you can UPI some energy to me.
Yeah,
that's very cool. So tell me one thing: how is Sun360 facilitating, and keeping up with all of this new technology? Or how is Sun360 helping the consumer in Goa with the awareness? What makes you guys stand out? Why are you one of the leading companies of solar in Goa?
So first of all, is that we focus only on solar.
Okay.
As we've already spoken, you would see that there are so many moving parts here, right? There's technology that's constantly evolving. The policy is constantly evolving, and so focus on that particular space is extremely important. So we don't do anything else.
Okay.
We only do solar, right? The second is that we've spent a lot of time in educating the customer, and we continue to do that. We put out pieces of content around technical aspects of it. We give them free site surveys, free feasibility analysis, just to kind of get them to understand what's the value of their roof, right? The third is that we source the best technology from across the globe. So we use Israeli technology for our optimizers. We use American technology in our batteries. Of course, the Indian panels that are mandated by the government.
Okay.
And so we source all of this, best-in-class
Equipment,
to make sure that you have these assets that last
a very long
25 years,
time.
30 years, right? And finally, it comes down to also being able to provide service, because no matter how good the product is, ultimately there will be some niggles. There will be something that the electricity department, will kind of do. Our voltages are a little bit out of spec here. The power is not as great and as clean as it is in, let's say, some of the metros or some of the biggest cities across the world. And so, keeping those particular points in mind, we need to be quick to respond and make sure that the plant is active and live all the time.
Understood.
And generating power all the time.
So is there some sort of a GPS tracking system or some sort of a tracking system that you have on your panels installed for the consumer, wherein like if something goes wrong, you get notified, or then the consumer has a signal and they notify you?
So both ways. So all our systems are monitored using a remote monitoring application. So you have the inverter that is connected to the internet. And so you can see exactly how much your panels are generating.
Interesting.
And that is available to the customer.
Oh, wow.
And it's available to us. And so my service manager is basically looking at this control panel with all the plants, which are generating well, which are not, and then accordingly can send the service.
You know how your solar panels are performing, and if there's something wrong, you can send someone and get it fixed.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, it's not just whether it's on or off. You can also understand that. So I've got 25 plants in Porvorim. I can understand what one plant is producing with respect to the other. And so I can understand if there is
any differences in the...
Exactly.
Yeah. So where is all this material coming from? The panels, you said some is the technology coming from America, or you're buying the products also from America?
So combination. So let's break it down. Okay, we've got three main components. First is the solar panels. These solar panels, for a long time, the government kept it open, that you could either import it or you could buy it from India. And typically the imported panels were a lot cheaper than the Indian panels.
The Chinese ones, more than
They're just operating at a different scale altogether.
Yeah, manufacturing scale.
So just to give you a sense, the largest Chinese manufacturer is operating at almost a 15x scale than the largest Indian manufacturer.
Oh wow, that's huge.
Yeah. And with whenever you double your capacity, you can actually reduce your cost by 1/4.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
So, but 2 or 3 years ago, the government very, very intentionally, wanted to promote Indian manufacturers of solar panels.
Okay.
And so they started off first by having a list of approved manufacturers, which were essentially based in India. They took that step further by saying that if you want subsidies, the ones that we just spoke about, you've got to use the cells that are made in India. In 2026, June 2026, they're going to make that mandatory even for industries. Okay. Even if you don't want subsidy, if you want to connect it back to the grid, you'll have to use cells which are made in India.
Okay.
And in 2027, they're going to go into the next layer, which is the wafer, right? Which is one layer before the cell. That wafer needs to be made in India.
So essentially, it's going to be all from India in the future if you want to work with the grid.
Exactly.
In some cases, even if you don't want to work with the grid, you'll have to have it made in India.
Absolutely.
That's good, for our economy.
Yeah, it makes us as a country far more resilient.
What are the panels made of? So
the panels are essentially made out of silicon. Right. So it is currently what we have is monocrystalline silicon that's used.
What is that element that is capturing the sunlight and converting into the electricity, or is it a couple of elements that's doing that?
So essentially a semiconductor material, when placed out in the sunlight, right, creates this photovoltaic effect, which is, when light falls on this material, electrons start moving across the bus. Yeah. Right, and then you kind of move that and you connect it and you generate electricity.
So as soon as the sunlight falls on the semiconductor material, the electrons start shifting, and that is technically what electricity is.
Absolutely. And then you
Interesting.
layer that up with different layers.
Which material are they using for semiconductors?
So they use silicon. Silicon is primarily the main this thing, and then you dope it with various other elements.
Is there any kind of like metals that are used?
So silver is traditionally used for the bus bars for conducting that electricity
Okay.
to the junction box, but predominantly it's this.
Okay.
And then there's glass on top, and then there is a EVA backsheet, which is again kind of a polymer that's used in the backsheet, and then you've got aluminium as a frame for the solar panel. So that's how the entire construction is.
Okay. Now, as you said, that the panel may be redundant after 25 to 30 years, which is a good life. But how? So obviously, lithium batteries. Let's just talk about batteries. They are not sustainable at all. Lithium is a specialized metal, not easily available, expensive, and probably it's not eco-friendly to have the batteries. Is there any aspects of the panel that have this kind of non-eco-friendly assets,
No, so
or can you recycle the entire panel?
not the entire panel. You can recycle close to about 60 to 70% of the material in the panel. Currently, the panel is to recycle it costs 4 times more than the value of the material, and so that needs to be supported in some form.
Yeah.
Once we reach to the point where
Panels
you have
start
panels
changing,
moving, and moving out of that life cycle, right, of 25 years, you will have a huge surge of
That is what I'm
electronic waste
thinking. Like,
that's
say
coming
30
in.
years down the line, we would probably see like a massive amount of electronic waste or solar panel waste, and it's again that is damaging to the environment. Do you think they would come up, or they already in the process of coming up with ways to counter that?
They're already in the process of doing that. So you have plants in various parts of the country that already are set up to handle this kind of e-waste problem that will kind of come up. And it's not a problem, actually. It's an opportunity, because there's a company now that takes these old panels and they're able to recycle it and then put it to life for another 10 years.
Okay.
Right. And so, a lot of these business models are going to come up.
Yeah. To refurbish and reuse the panel.
Absolutely. And we spoke of that one segment where, the maybe marginalized segment, right? Where solar is too expensive for them to have.
Yeah.
And maybe, it's too, capital intensive, right? Those kind of segments could really benefit from these.
I know what
these
you're
panels.
saying. For whose needs are really less in terms of energy, but they still want to kind of have clean energy to save cost. This refurbished panels could be a game changer in that situation.
Absolutely.
10 years is not a short amount of time. It's pretty decent, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And the way the warranties are, kind of specified, up to the 30th year, today's solar panels will still produce 82% of the rated output.
Oh, that's decent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very decent.
It's just not been tested beyond that. So there is life beyond that, but it's just not been tested. Now, what's going to happen in the future is you're going to have a home or an industry, right, that has got a finite amount of roof space. That is going to say that, now from that same roof space, with the latest panel, I can generate double the energy.
Yeah.
So can anyone come in to take away these old panels, have them installed on a different roof space, and set up brand new panels with a higher efficiency for me?
I understand what you're saying.
So it's not even going to reach to the end of life. It's going to there is going to be a financial point where it is going to pivot them to move from the older technology to the new one.
Well, if the industries are recovering their cost in the first 3 years, it doesn't bother them to change it in another 10 years and then go on to a better technology. It gives them more energy. So it makes sense.
And in fact, we've done a system like this here in Goa.
Wow.
In Thivim, there is this institute called Caritas.
Okay.
And they have a home, for children
Understood.
that are infected with HIV.
Okay.
And we had a customer who had these old panels, and he wanted to kind of upgrade. And we moved these panels through the Rotary Club to Caritas, and today Caritas basically has a zero electricity bill there.
Oh wow.
So reusing of these kind of
Panels.
older technology panels can be done for a lot of applications.
Lovely. Is there any new policies that we should be looking at, or is the government looking at implementing?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, one is the net metering, which was already there. The second was the virtual net metering, which we spoke of, wherein we can co-invest together.
Yeah.
Right. The third is something known as group net metering. So let's say if I have 4 bills or 4 meters, and I've got one space where I've got a lot of roof space.
Okay.
Right, one building where I have a lot of roof space. I can set up the plant there and offset all my 4 meters with that single plant.
Okay.
So this essentially kind of helps me leverage scale with solar. So with solar, it's very simple. As you scale up the plant, your cost per kilowatt comes down.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can set up a large plant in one location, makes it also easier to maintain, makes it easier to design a roof that can support that entire thing. And at the same time, I have, insulated myself from the 4% increase in tariff on all my 4 meters.
That's very cool.
Be it residential, commercial, industrial, I can get it.
I think that's very, very cool. So Anish, as you know, this is Roof Talk. Now we can talk a little bit more about how roofs and solar can be integrated to, work together. Let's start with the basics. Solar is always installed on top of roof, but up until now, both roofing and solar different trades are considered as different trades. Do you think now is the time wherein both the trades can come together and can be kind of looked at from the design phase itself to integrate both solar and roofing?
Absolutely. I think that's the need of the hour.
Okay.
Especially for new buildings, that are coming up as on date. Solar is something that is going to be required for that entity, 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
So designing it right now so that the solar panels are flush on the roof.
Yeah.
Do not spoil the elevation for an architect.
Correct.
Is not visible, to the end consumer.
Yeah.
Right, is going to be game changing.
True.
Of course, most of the installations are retrofit in nature, and in those cases also we are constantly being asked, of how it can be incorporated in a way in which it does not, kind of
become a prick to the eye, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, essentially, like we at Skyline work with high-end villas, resorts, and the aesthetic value. There's 2 parts to what we do. In construction roofs, there's one is the functional value and one is the aesthetic value. In terms of aesthetics, a lot of the architects wouldn't want solar panels to be installed on the front facade, not because I don't think solar panels look ugly.
Yeah.
If integrated and done well, I think it can even add to a little bit of aesthetic value to any sort of a roof. But I think the issue is the lack of technology, maybe, wherein in the current situation, the roof panels hang above the roof, not integrated with the roof. What are your thoughts on the future of the integration of the two?
Yeah, so, what really looks like an eyesore is, these elevated
Studs,
solar struts that come up on top of a beautifully designed roof.
Yeah.
And then, you have the solar panels kind of like an afterthought, right? We don't like it as well. And I'm sure the architect who sees it at the end of the
But
day.
are you guys exploring solar tiles or roofing tiles which have the ability to generate electricity?
So one thing that we do is on existing roofs.
Mm.
In Goa, we've got these fragmented roofs
Mm.
with tiles and things like that.
Mm.
So what we do is we try to keep the panel in the same plane of the roof,
Mm.
right, as much as possible.
Mm.
It helps in two ways. One is, as we said, it doesn't spoil the elevation.
Mm.
But two, it also ensures that there's less wind load on the panels.
Yeah.
Right, and so therefore these
Mm.
structures are far more resilient.
Mm.
What we are doing is we are using these custom-made Z channels
Mm.
with a patented adhesive
Yeah.
that bonds the metal of the Z bracket
Mm.
to the concrete slab.
Yeah.
And this can be integrated with Mangalore tiles. It can be
Yeah.
integrated with concrete tiles, ceramic tiles, and so on and
Understood.
so forth. So it's a smooth retrofit, right?
True.
Or it can be even done for a new place.
Okay.
We are exploring solar tiles right now that can be used like shingles
Hmm.
on top of an existing roof base.
Yeah.
So you make your base roof and then you paste these solar shingles on top of that.
Okay.
It follows the same principle. If it's shaded, you should not put it there. And so
Yeah.
there are dummy solar tiles that are available without the solar cell in them
Yeah.
for the shaded areas.
Well, to reduce the cost, obviously, because if there's no point in putting actual solar panels just to maintain the aesthetics if they're not going to generate any electricity. Well, as a roofer, I think solar integrated roof panels are an absolute future. I've been doing a little bit of my own research, and there is panels available which have a bit of so if there's like a sheet like this, like a roof tile. Conventionally, there is complete roof tiles which are made out of solar photovoltaic panels. But now, I looked at a product the other day which was basically a metal roof tile. It wasn't a sheet; it was a tile, and they had fitted the panel flushed with the tile. And I'll show that photograph to you. We'll pop it up on here for the audience to see. But I think it's an absolute genius idea. I think I don't know if I'm right, but I think it's 10 panels for 1 kilowatt, and one panel is around a meter by 14 inches, more or less. And 10 of those can generate around 1 kilowatt. But the roof tile and this tile is of the same absolute shape. So essentially what you're doing is that you're just placing these tiles instead of the actual roof tile. And then because the shape and the structure of both the tiles is exactly the same, it looks absolutely seamless.
And you can interchange it.
You can have solar tiles, couple of there, couple of here, wherever you want, and it won't look bad either.
Fantastic.
I'll show that photograph to you. I think you're going to be very intrigued, and that's a project that I'd like to do with you very soon. I'll show you the product, and then we'll see how we can do our first one in Goa.
Absolutely.
But what was I saying? You mentioned to me that you're fitting your clamps on the concrete. You do, and you custom manufacture them for ceramic tiles, concrete tiles, or Mangalore tiles. I saw that on one of your sites. It's absolutely amazing. At Skyline, what we do essentially is we don't do concrete roofs. So we are not your tiling company, or we are not your shingles laying company. We built the roof from the ground up. So essentially there's like metal structural steel fabrication, then we have the deck, then we have insulation, and then we have secondary structure, then we've got the tiles. So I think just like the way solar is the future, concrete slabs are going to become a little bit redundant at one point, because the performance of a concrete slab in terms of heat insulation, in terms of waterproofing, in terms of the actual structural weight load, and the speed of construction is very different than the system roofs that we built. I think solar with system roofs can be integrated far more easily, than solar on concrete roofs, because in our roofing systems we plug in and out components the way we want, so we can cater for solar panels to be laid completely seamlessly along with our tiles, because we are custom manufacturing the structure on top of our primary deck, which can be a bit of a challenge on solar on RCC roofs. So what you primarily do only retrofitting right now?
No, we do new buildings as well, and in new buildings we suggest customers to go for for system roofs like these.
Makes
wherein
sense.
You have the holes already placed on the roof.
Yes, yeah.
And then solar just becomes a plug and play kind of a solution.
Exactly. So what are the issues though you've been facing now? That trend is shifting, where people are gaining awareness about the system roofs as well, and kind of shifting from concrete to system. But for the last 8-10 years that you've been working, what are the challenges that you faced in terms of installation, in terms of retrofitting your panels?
So installation of the panels is pretty straightforward. I think the biggest challenge comes in creating systems where you can maintain the panels very easily. So a lot of the roof tiles, even on top of system roofs, right, they require a slope of maybe 23 degrees.
Yep.
Which is quite steep for someone to just keep moving up over there every 2-3 months, right? And so what we have done is we've created these 0-degree walkways, essentially like a kind of a triangular structure, and you make the walkway parallel to the horizontal.
Yep.
And so these kind of walkways, right, they also need to be integrated along with the solar panel holes. Secondly is integrating handrails around the roof.
Yeah.
So that you have
safety.
A better fall protection system in place.
Understood.
I think these are the biggest challenges that we face. Installing the solar is one part of the of the coin. I think the second part, where it gets a little bit more challenging, is making sure that the maintenance services are kept in place.
It's a lot more maintenance has to be accessible, and if it's a high sloped roof, it can be challenging to go up, climb the tiles. Breaking the tiles is often probably a big challenge for your technicians, because you have to walk, but this system, very new, build a alternate pathway for them to walk on. Makes sense.
So on all our tiled roofs, we try as much as possible from the access point. The person should be able to move along the walkways, right? And that needs to be maintained. Then on larger roofs, we have something known as a safety line. So we create these safety lines across the entire roof, so the person can plug in a harness and walk and clean the system.
And clean. Well, could you not put some sort of automated wiper system on that, no?
So we've tried this. Back in 2018, we had these foggers with with an app that could be triggered, or with timer-based solutions that could be triggered. So it works well in terms of keeping the dust off the surface. But just as you might see with your car, if you just spray water on it, it'll attract dust, and so you have to keep spraying water on it, and as you kind of spray water on it, you'll start seeing water stains on the glass.
Yeah.
Right, which is not good for solar generation. And so you have to have, even if you have an automated cleaning system, once every 6 months at least, there has to be somebody up there who wipes it down, scrubs the entire thing down with a wiper and cleans the surface and keeps it clean.
How do you navigate around your electricals from these concrete roofs?
So if it's a new home that wants to install solar, or wants to keep the provision to install solar, we suggest them to keep a few conduits from the roof to the attic area, right? If it's a retrofit, it's typically taken from the external or through a duct.
Okay. So that is a bit of a challenge wherein if it's not planned for, then you have to take it from the outside. You can't, So I think one advantage that you could have on with system roofs is that, there's multiple layers, there's enough space for you to run your conduits the way you want them, and there's a lot more flexibility as to what you can achieve, because it's not cement or steel, it's not casted, it's all welded and fabricated, so things can be moved around a lot easily. And there's a lot of different flashings that we manufacture that can cater to the waterproofing issue, so the entire thing acts as one thing and not separate. Even if you want to put roof panels and not the roof tiles, we can cater to a system, or we can develop a system wherein the roof panel itself becomes the roof. The solar panel itself becomes the roof, and then there's tiles around it, and the panel also acts like a roof. So there's no water entering through that. So a lot of those systems can be developed, and have the right project for us to work on, which I'll discuss with you separately.
And in fact, there are two ways, in which it can be done. Are you using sealants, or are you using structural members itself to take the water?
So phenomenal question. So sealants don't last. Sealants today, tomorrow, day after, 1 year, 2 years down the line, with the heating and the expansion and the contraction, are going to wear out, and that's going to be a huge problem for leakages. I cannot take a risk, so I prefer metal flashings or metal structures which act as gutters, small ones, very small, you won't even see them, and then they divert the water out onto the tile and then at the bottom. So it's pretty much like a same system we do on a skylight. If I want to put a skylight, I have to do a complete drainage system around it. So if I have to install a solar panel, it's the same. Although the joinery of the solar panel also can be worked out. I think the sealant would be a lot more convenient way to do it, but I'm sure there's flashings around it as well.
No, sealants just don't work.
No.
As you rightly pointed. And so if you have metal flashings, right, and you're kind of pulling the water through that, I think that's the way to go.
So look, it's something that is not difficult. We can bend it in a factory, cut it, weld it to size, and just come and fit it across the panel, screw it in, and that's what we're doing in most of our skylights. And the product that you get at the end of the day, it's not makeshift. It's all company manufactured, weld, grind, buffed, powder coated, so it just looks phenomenal, the final product. But that is the kind of advantage you get with this newer sort of a roofing technology as well, that you can play around and give a better product to the consumer in terms of aesthetics.
Because at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to use the standard mass manufactured solar panels on a custom system roof.
Correct.
Right? So that you can leverage both the aspects. The biggest challenge with using solar tiles or these really niche products is that first of all, if you have a problem with any of that product, you need to have it replaced with a product that's available in the market. So the Tesla tiles really didn't take off.
No.
Because point number one, you required very, very experienced and expert
technicians,
installation engineers. Second, the consumer felt that if I install a solar tile from Tesla today, will they be able to manufacture the same one for me 6 years down the line? And will I be able to just replace it straight off the bat? That was the second concern. The third concern is it's not as efficient as the standard solar panels. It doesn't have the same longevity as the standard solar panels. So the trick here is basically how can we integrate standard solar panels within your system roofs?
I think if it's done right, see, solar panels are not bad looking. It's the practice that makes it bad looking. If it's seamless, if it's in the same level as a tile, I think it looks equally beautiful. I've seen a lot of poorly planned solar installations on roofs, right, where there was little thought given to the waterproofing. They functioned anywhere they want, and then the client is now facing with a lot of difficulties. The water tightness wasn't there, so it's leaking. How does your team work around these small issues, which obviously can become very big later on?
So first of all, we don't do any puncturing on the roof, right? Especially on roof slabs, which is a large section of roofs here in Goa. So if it's a flat roof, we use these self-weight ballasts. So there's no anchoring to the roof at all.
Okay.
Right? Just the weight of the ballast will hold the entire structure down together, and it is rated for 150 kilometer per hour wind speeds. On tiled roofs, we use the Z clamp with the adhesive,
I've seen that,
which I spoke about. Yeah. On metal sheet roofs, we use a mini rail, and we use these EJOT screws onto the roof, right? And then we have standing seam roofs where we have the clamps basically holding on to the seam of the roof, wherein, again, there's no puncturing there, right? It is just the corrugated metal sheet roofs where we have to do the puncturing. We have to puncture the sheets. But we have a way around that as well. Wherever the roof joins together, right, you have these already existing self-tapping screws that go into the purlins. So we have something known as an L bracket that go into the same hole which was used for the self-tapping screw, and then we have a full rail.
So essentially what you'll have is a whole pass, you screw it back into it, and then you'll have a rail.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. What would you do on a Manglo tile roof?
So on a Manglo tile roof, if it has...
Not the RCC slab, the old Portuguese house with the wooden battens.
We've done it in a couple of places. Installing it is not much of a problem. Maintaining it becomes a little bit of a challenge.
Why do you think that is?
So what happens is, what we've seen is that, the wooden rafters, over a period of time, they get rounded, and then we lose the surface area where the clamp is holding on to the rafter. And as a result, the strength of the hold is not as good as we would like it to be. So with a very strong gust of wind, there is a possibility that rounded surface, could kind of, the clamp could come off. Now, if we have metal structures below that, then it's absolutely possible. Then we can have the same Z clamps welded to the underlying metal structure, interlocking with the Manglo tiles, which can then be set up.
So if it's a MS fabricated roof with tiles on top of it, you think your Z clamps will kind of take care of it all?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So the challenge you have essentially with Portuguese houses is that the wood is very old and that may wear off.
Yeah.
Interesting. So my opinion on tiles direct on fabrication on wood is always going to be a little bit concerning, because I wouldn't want anyone to even touch it. Because look, firstly, there's no second level protection. Your tile breaks, you have water coming into your house, you have expensive furniture, it's gonna go, dust is gonna come in, insects are gonna come in. So I don't advise people to put a tile directly on a wooden roof or a fabricated roof. I always suggest them that they need to put some sort of a underdeck and then build a secondary lightweight system on top of it and then put the roof tiles. So if someone comes up to me and is like, I want to put solar and roof on an old Portuguese house or a fabricated roof, my first thing would be let's build a system on top of it. Doesn't have to be a heavyweight system. We can get a structure engineer to look at it, build a very lightweight system. Once the underdeck is come, I think you will also be a lot more at ease to kind of just install, because even if your solar fails or your waterproofing or your technology fails, there's still the underdeck. But for me, it's always going to be a bit of a concern to do any sort of work, because maintaining that solar panel which is directly on a structural roof with tiles, every time you walk up there, it's going to break. And there's no fail safe to it. So I find that very kind of, as a roofer, it's just doesn't work with
and
me.
we are also extremely, kind of apprehensive about, having such kind of
Installations,
where one hole on the roof means water coming into the person's home. Of course, we have walkways wherever the person is walking, but you need to have that secondary layer of protection.
I think it's an absolute necessity, because what happens is even when you do paste your thing, right, but somehow or the other something even if it's a concrete slab and you break the tile, for me the water should not touch the mother slab, because waterproofing can fail here and there, and then you'll have that. It's always good to have a more solid membrane type of a waterproofing wherein it's impenetrable no matter what happens. Going forward, what would be your advice to like a homeowner or a builder or an architect on how they can integrate solar into their constructions, their buildings?
So for someone who's basically, putting up a structure today, one of the things that you need to do is keep it solar ready, because your customer or you in your future self will thank you for making that decision.
And how do I do that?
Yeah. So point number one, keep as much of south-facing roof available for the solar installation.
Okay.
Right. So true south, 180 degrees azimuth, 15 to 17 degrees because that's the latitude here in Goa. So if you can maintain that same slope, would be fantastic. Right. Second is keep conduits available on the roof, and from the roof to your attic, and from the attic to the energy meter, right? And additional conduits for the earthing. So we need 3 earthing pits typically for a home, and those additional conduits to the earthing is a must, right? If you're doing landscaping around your house, keep 3 additional earthing pits unconnected, so that you can then landscape around it or over it and just have the earthing connected seamlessly later on. I think if these 3 things are done, right, a good south-facing roof, ideally with a system roof in place, so that you can plug in the panels, the walkways, the handrails, and all of that straight up on the roof. Second, conduits. So that your electrical cables can seamlessly pass through your
through the
walls.
entire system, and the unit,
and you don't then have these ugly conduits running on the external facade of the building. And third is the earthing.
Understood. So Anish, as someone who works in the solar industry, would you be more excited with the solar panel efficiency or battery storage tech?
Would I be more excited with the solar?
To work with more solar efficient panels or better battery technology?
Okay. So, Aniket, both of these things are going to work hand in hand going forward. We've just commissioned a 289 kilowatt hour energy storage unit for a temple in Ponda. That essentially is like running a 100 kVA genset for 3 hours.
Wow.
We have so many number of solar batteries today, high density batteries that are being set up all across Goa. So what the end consumer is looking for is self-sufficiency.
I think that's what the nation's looking at for now. Yeah.
And at an individual level also, they're looking at the same thing. If there is some problem on the grid, they want to be able to be self-sufficient.
Understood.
If there's some problem happening in Iran, and there's no oil coming to India, or there's some problem happening in Russia, they want to be self-sufficient.
Understood.
And so you have these virtuous systems that are being set up. Right? We had Cyclone Tokte that hit us 3-4 years ago, and many of our people who had installed solar panels with batteries were able to run for 3-4 days without
really?
power.
3-4 days, huh?
And they
Not
were not-
affected.
Absolutely. And they were not only, having enough power for themselves, they had neighbors come into their house and charge their batteries.
Oh, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. And so stories like those, are kind
Yeah.
of spurring others to also say that, hey, it's good that we have the grid,
Yeah.
but how can I make myself self-sufficient?
Self-sufficient.
And so going forward, what we're seeing is panels that are getting more efficient
Understood.
with AI and nanotechnology in terms of manufacturing. You're able to cram more cells in a smaller area, and so you're getting more
So
efficient panels.
panels. Yeah.
And you're getting higher density batteries. So today we're able to run an entire temple with so many rooms for their devotees in an area of 4 feet by 10 feet,
Oh wow. And
and it's powering everything.
that's very impressive. Before we let you go, what is the dream project that you like to work on? Is there any particular dream project that you like to work on?
So, what I would really like to work on, I think, is a lot of roofs integrated with solar panels,
Okay.
right? Wherein the roof itself generates
Yeah,
electricity
it becomes
and
an absolute
provides protection.
powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting. That's something I want to work with too, wherein I build a roof which is generating electricity 24 hours.
Let's do this, Aniket, and
I think-
let's
I think we
transform one
can.
roof at a time.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Anish, it was an absolute pleasure having you here. It was an eye-opener. I think we all know a lot more about the solar industry now. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
It's an
Aniket.
absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you.
All right, done.